What's up guys, it's Naff here. So recently I've gotten tier 88 through Bounty Hunter and Revenants, and I was really interested to see how this would go in Gold Wars Dungeon 2. The last time I was attempting Vindicta, I was using a Chaotic Staff and Subjugation, and I was struggling to get more than 4 kills a trip. So using my Vestus Longsword, Vestus Chainbody and Stadius Helm, along with some of the advice I got from you guys after my last Vindicta video, I wanted to try my luck at this boss again in the hopes of getting tier 80 non-degradable power armor and a Dragon Rider Lance. Since unlocking Invention, I've spent the last few days collecting brilliant energies, and after hitting 170,000, I felt this would probably get me enough divine charges to last me some time. And I ended up being able to turn this into about 364 divine charges before running out of simple parts. So now my augmented gear was covered, I needed to figure out what offhand I could use. Currently I had nothing apart from my Bandos War Shield, which is a tier 70 shield, but it would probably provide too low DPS. Now a lot of you guys did recommend I use a shield for the shield abilities in phase 2 against Vindy's range attacks, so I decided to look into a high tier defender. So at the Fighters Guild, getting points were easy enough. Fighting animated armors was a lot easier than I remembered, but I could only do adamant since I've dismantled pretty much most of my bank and I couldn't buy rune from vendors like I could adamant. So this only took me half an hour or so to get 4,000 points, and I started to farm defenders. Now this process took me a little over an hour to get up to a dragon defender from bronze. I'll include the specific times on screen for those who are interested, but using my Saradome and Godsword special to keep up my health made it very easy and very AFK. So now it was time to upgrade the Dragon Defender to a Barrows Defender, which is a tier 70, but unlike regular shields, offers more accuracy while still giving you access to shield abilities. To get the Barrows Defender, you need to get a Corrupted Sigil, which is a drop from Barrows you can only get whilst you have a Dragon Defender in your inventory or equipped. Once you have the Corrupted Sigil, you need to use that along with a Barrows weapon on the Dragon Defender to upgrade it, losing the Sigil and the Barrows weapon. So I was hoping the Sigil would be a guaranteed drop considering you have to give up a Barrows weapon and grind out the Defender already, but I was wrong. The Corrupted Sigil actually had the same drop rate as a regular piece of Barrows gear, and getting the Corrupted Sigil took me around 2 hours. But nevertheless that was done. Now to upgrade it any further to tier 80, it did involve a Sigil from Nex, which I wasn't interested in getting, so this defender was going to remain tier 70, and for that reason I only wanted to use it in phase 2 when I wanted to access shield abilities. So I decided to get a Chaotic Offhand Longsword. I already had 80,000 Dungeoneering tokens, and offhand weapons only cost 100,000, and it meant I could still keep relatively high accuracy when paired up with my Vestus Longsword. And getting the points I needed didn't take me any longer than a few hours. So now I had my equipment sorted, I wanted to make overloads. As many of you are aware, overloads are in general amazing for bossing because of the high and consistent combat buffs they provide, and they do allow you to drink Saradome and brews, which gives you a lot of health per inventory slot. Although currently I was only 93 herblore and hadn't even made any extreme ranges due to never hunting Grand Walls. As some of you may or may not be aware, I pretty much leveled Hunter entirely through Big Chinchompa and the Spring Fair. Now luckily I had never actually spent any points I'd gotten through Big Chinchompa, so I was hoping this would be nice and easy. Now after 10 minutes of standing around, I did quickly realise you couldn't catch Grand Walls without baiting them. Now I did learn that completing the medium Terran Wind tasks gives you the ability to hunt Grand Walls without baiting them, so that seemed like my best option. Now, I'm not a big quester and I'm certainly not a big tasks guy, so I pretty much hadn't done any of the easy or medium tasks to get this done. So first off, I needed to do some questing. Deadliest Catch for the easy tasks, and Fairy Tale Part 1 and 2 for the medium tasks. Apart from that, it was pretty straightforward, and luckily I had all the stat requirements to get it all done. And with that out of the way, I was able to hunt Grand Walls without bait, and it was actually a lot easier than I remembered. After about an hour or so, I had around 3,600 Grand Wall spikes, which I felt would probably be enough for the meantime, and with that I was able to make 804 extreme ranging potions. Through making these extreme ranges, I also did manage to hit 94 herblore as well, but that did mean to make overloads, I did still require a +2 herblore boost. From here, my options were to either do the God and Missionary content and unlock a God banner, which I honestly don't have too much of a clue about. I've never looked into this content, but it looked pretty straightforward online, or I could complete the Evil Dave portion of the Recipe for Disaster quest chain. Now, despite knowing that the Evil Dave option was going to take me longer, I did go with that, mainly because I want to complete the whole Recipe for Disaster quest chain one day, as it is required for while Guthic sleeps, which I also want to do at some point. So as usual, I couldn't go and do that straight away. I needed to do Shadow of the Storm, which was actually relatively easy. Once completed, the Evil Dave quest was actually pretty easy as well, and luckily for Iron Man, there is actually a vendor in Sears Village who sells an infinite amount of stews. So after completing that quest, I didn't actually manage to get the herblore boost I needed with the spices I had left over, so I did have to farm spices for about 30 minutes until I was happy with the amount of brown spice I had. And although it took me a few attempts, I did manage to get a +5 herblore boost, which was more than enough to make overloads. Now, a funny trick I did read about was the buff goes down by 1 minute per level, but if you do relog before it reaches a minute, then it remains at the current level, and when you log back in, it gets refreshed for another minute. So once the buff went down to 96 herblore, I did use this gimmick, and I was able to make 148 3-dose overloads, which I was pretty happy about. And luckily, I already had a ton of Saradomin brews and super restores from bossing in the past, so I was set in terms of supplies for the most part. Another thing I wanted to do was put some gizmos in my gear. Now at 30 invention, I haven't unlocked most components that do make the better perks, so I just went with some things I could find that were going to help me even slightly. So I ended up making a precise rank 2 for my Vestas longsword and an absorbative rank 2 for my Vestas chain body. Now, I don't plan on using a Beast of Burden at Vindicta at all. To be honest, I hate farming war tortoises as it is pretty slow, and at Vindicta you burn through the pouches pretty quickly when banking, so I'm going to be using unicorn scrolls the entire time. So stocking up on these wasn't a big deal. I actually had a lot of unicorn horns from Commander Ziliana in God Wars Dungeon 1, so I was able to make around 2600 scrolls and 276 pouches, which would be more than enough. And the last thing I wanted to finish up with before doing Vindicta, which I really overlooked last time when doing the 150 Vindicta kills, was Zaros' reputation. Essentially, all 4 bosses in God Wars Dungeon 2 have their own reputation and faction. Increasing reputation with a boss's faction gives you a few cosmetic unlocks, but the main benefits are increased drop chances on the boss's rare loot, although this doesn't include pets, and it also reduces the kill count from 40 to 20 to enter the boss area. So this is actually something I've been working on over the past month or so. Essentially every day you get a bounty where you kill minions from a particular faction to get rep with a different faction, meaning I've been doing bounties for Zaros rep, and today I finished up the final rep I needed to fully unlock all the rewards that do increase drop chance, meaning I'll have a 100% increased drop chance on Vindicta's rare drops, such as the Zaros crests, Dormant Anima gear, and the Dragon Rider lance. So I now feel I'm pretty ready for Vindicta, although I haven't tried out this setup yet with any bosses at all, so I don't really know what to expect. The overall goal is just a significant improvement from last time, where I was only averaging 3 to 4 kills a trip, and within 151 Vindicta kills, I did only manage 1 rare drop, which was a Zaros crest. But that just about wraps it up. I'm now going to camp Vindicta. For how long will really depend on my luck with drops, and how effective this setup is, but ideally I do want to get a full set of tier 80 gear and a Dragon Rider lance, so I may be here for a while. Leave a like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you want to keep up to date with my Iron Man progress and Iron Man guides, and to any of you guys who know more about invention, do let me know if there's better perks I could be putting on my gear at low levels of invention. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.